until photosynthesis all done, right? Did you go through? Did you go through? You are new? You also, no? Okay. Which school? Which school? Right. Okay. So we had been talking about photosynthesis. Now that activity I think we were talking about, right? All of you have to take your textbook. Take out your textbook. There's a activity on photosynthesis that we will first of all try understanding. The last part of the chapter on photosynthesis, the last part of the concept on photosynthesis, the open and the closed stomata. Did we write an answer on this? The open and the closed stomata. Take out your notebook, just check. Open and closed stomata, the diagrams did we draw? Diagrams drawn. And the process of opening and the closing of the stomata, did we write an answer? No? So we'll have to complete that. And then
just drawn the opening of stomata, not the closing.
Both the diagrams. Okay. So both the diagrams. Take one question. Let us continue from that part of the chapter. The opening and the closing of the stomata and the process, you get this for 3 marks that time. The opening and the closing of the stomata. So we are going to start with photosynthesis. And with reference to photosynthesis, the stomata. Now we are talking about the stomata. What is the function? The significance of the stomata is what in the process of photosynthesis? What is the significance of the stomata? I'll tell you. The significance of stomata, what was it? It always helps in inward diffusion of carbon dioxide. Okay. Let us take one question there related to this concept, stomata. Let us take that question. Explain the process of opening and closing. I'm going to write, this is your demo lecture. Demo lecture. Explain the process of opening and closing of stomata. Explain the process of, what about you? You are there, no? Also right? Explain the process of opening and closing of stomata. Now, opening and closing of the stomata, certain steps you have to write using certain words. Key terms should be there and the process. So now, explain the process of opening and closing of the stomata. Write down. Stomata are minute pores. Stomata are minute pores on the lower surface. Stomata are minute pores on the undersurface or lower surface of a leaf. They play a major role in, this you can also write as a function. What is the function of stomata? They play a major role in the inward diffusion. They play a major role in the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide and regulate the process of inward diffusion of carbon dioxide and regulate the process of photosynthesis. And regulate the process of photosynthesis. For a higher rate of photosynthesis, next slide. For a higher rate of photosynthesis, the stomata should remain. For a higher rate of photosynthesis, the stomata should remain open. Stomata should remain open. For a longer duration, during the daytime. For a longer duration during the daytime. Now, first you try understanding the opening and the closing of the stomata, then what points I am asking you to write, you will be very clear to understand. Now, I am talking about the guard cells. Name the cells of the stomata. What is stomata? Just now you have written down. What are these small pores on the undersurface of a leaf? Large number. Now, these cells, they have got these type of bean-shaped cells. The stomata has got bean-shaped cells in a pair. What are these bean-shaped cells known as? These bean-shaped cells will be known as the guard cells. Surrounding the bean-shaped cells, that is the guard cells, the most important type of cells are what? The most important type of cells are known as the epidermal cells. So mostly a comparison of these two type of cells we are talking about, right? The guard cells surrounding epidermal cells. Now, this is a plant cell. So what should be some of the features? A vacuole should be there. This is a plant cell I'm talking about. So if this is a plant cell, this will definitely be having a vacuole. Yes, it will be having a vacuole. And what should be filled up in the vacuole? What will be filled up in the vacuole? Like in the vacuole, what will be filled up?
Food particles. Energy.
Arey baapre. What is filled up in the cell sap? What is filled up in the vacuole? The water and the minerals. So what is filled up in the vacuole? I understand what is filled up in the vacuole. In the vacuole, sap is filled up. What is sap? Water and minerals dissolved. Always remember this. Now, we are talking about a comparison. Let us start this way, that this guard cell also has got these organelles. Which organelles am I talking about? These organelles are the chloroplast. So the story starts from here. When I talk about the chloroplast, the guard cells have got chloroplast. Since the guard cells have got chloroplast, they are constantly preparing glucose. They are able to undergo the process of photosynthesis. And they are now making the glucose molecule. So let us understand this way. More and more of glucose, and glucose is getting dissolved in the sap. Just now I mentioned the vacuole will be having water and sap. So this guard cell has got chloroplast, photosynthesis is happening, glucose is getting formed, the glucose is getting dissolved in the sap. क्या ये neighboring cell में same process हो रहा है? No. Neighboring cell does not have chloroplast, तो जरूरी नहीं है कि इसमें the sap is getting filled with sap में यहाँ पे भी minerals etc रहेगा, but then it will not be that concentrated, no. So if I talk about these surrounding cells, ये वाले surrounding cell में glucose is not there as the guard cell. So will this surrounding cell be, or will this surrounding cell have a dilute medium as compared to the guard cell? इसमें वाटर ज्यादा रहेगा ना, तो इसमें वाटर आएगा कहाँ से? जाइलम से. So by the way of the xylem from the soil, all these cells will get the water. तो ये वाले जो cells है, इसमें water बहुत ज्यादा रहेगा. As compared, ये वाले जो cells है, इसमें water बहुत ज्यादा है as compared to this guard cells, because these guard cells constantly they are synthesizing the sugar and they are constantly getting concentrated. They are becoming concentrated. In the 9th standard, you had studied all these words. If I now talk about that the guard cells are hypertonic, are the guard cells hypertonic? Did you come across this word? Hypertonic, hypotonic, isotonic. Do you remember? So now I'm saying guard cells able to undergo photosynthesis, preparing glucose, sap is getting concentrated, and that's the reason this sap, which is concentrated, having comparatively lesser amount of water. So that's the reason this guard cell will always have a tendency of drawing water, absorbing water from the surrounding cells. Always it will have a tendency of absorbing water from the surrounding cells. इस process को क्या बोलेंगे? When a cell is absorbing water, endosmosis. Endosmosis. Now that these guard cells constantly absorbing water from the surrounding cells all throughout the day, what is happening? These guard cells are becoming tight filled with water. Constantly absorb हो रहा है. Because I'm talking about osmosis. Osmosis का rule क्या है? Water will always move from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. यहाँ पे water ज़्यादा है. Surrounding cells पे water ज़्यादा है क्योंकि इसमें glucose नहीं है. And यहाँ पे water comparatively कम है because it is constantly getting और sap में constantly glucose add होता जा रहा है. Photosynthesis हो रहा है. So now this is constantly getting concentrated. यहाँ पे water कम, यहाँ पे water ज़्यादा. What will be the direction of the water movement? यहाँ से यहाँ. So the guard cell is constantly absorbing water. Endoosmosis हो रहा है. During the daytime, as long as intensity of sunlight is good, ये process चलेगा. Photosynthesis होगा, glucose बनेगा, concentrated होगा, and this movement of water will continue. Endoosmosis will continue. Guard cells will become tight filled with water. जैसे ही guard cells will become tight filled with water, they also start getting curved होने लग जाता है, and then the space between the guard cells wide open, and if it is wide open, this allows the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide also. What is this condition known as? Open stomata. Open stomata. तो अब जो evening हो गया है, now what is the process? अब सारा reversal हो गया. Now that it is evening, is the intensity of sunlight good enough for the process of trapping of sunlight and glucose formation? No. Abhi the process of photosynthesis already we had learned. Now that the intensity of sunlight is not adequate, the rate of photosynthesis has dropped. Drop हो गया ना, slow हो गया process. So अब जो glucose all throughout the day it has been formed. Now will the concentration of glucose be the same in the guard cells? No, अभी concentration of glucose guard cells में कम होगा, बहुत slow. At this time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the process is gradually slowing down. तो अब जब gradually slowing down, glucose concentration sap में काफी हद तक कम हो गया है. क्योंकि all throughout the day glucose बना पर distribution भी तो हुआ है. All throughout the process distribution भी हुआ है. Now in the evening, what is the story? Now in the evening, glucose concentration धीरे-धीरे कम हो गया. अब जब in the evening glucose concentration guard cells में कम हो गया है, water अभी भी काफी ज़्यादा है. Now in the evening the situation is just the reverse. इसमें guard cell में water ज़्यादा है as compared to the surrounding cell. So evening में what is happening? In the evening, the direction of the water is this way. From the guard cell towards the surrounding cell. Keep all throughout the day, they had absorbed so much of water by endoosmosis, but धीरे-धीरे जैसे evening हुआ, rate of photosynthesis has dropped. यहाँ पे अभी water ज़्यादा रह गया as compared to the surrounding cells. Now, water osmosis का rule क्या है? Water will move from a region of high to low. High to low. So now the direction of water movement is not this. Now the direction of water movement is this one. Guard cell to epidermal cell. So all throughout the evening यही हमेशा होता है. At night यही होगा. So by the time it is something around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, what are we observing? ये guard cell का structure ऐसे रहेगा? No, the guard cells will develop a structure something like this, shrunken and lengthened and wrinkled. The guard cells will not become curved and tight filled with water. No, वो afternoon में था, morning में था. Not now. Now what? Now the guard cells have become lengthened. The space between them has become narrow because they have been giving away water to the surrounding cell. So if a guard cell is absorbing water, उसको हमने endoosmosis बोला है. And now that the guard cell is giving away water, तो उसको क्या बोलेंगे? Exosmosis. So during the evening, late at night, what process? Exosmosis, and the guard cells are shrinking down, elongating, and the space between them narrowing down, a condition known as closed stomata. आया समझ में? Simple है. Let us write these points. You get this question 3 marks with the diagram. You should be very clearly able to write all these points. Likho fast. After this introduction, likho open stomata. Open stomata, just in points you should write your answers. Open stomata likho. Point number 1, open stomata. Under that, point number 1, during the day, chloroplast in the guard cells produces glucose by, किसका है? हेलो सर, उसको साइलेंट पे रखो। तो कहते फोन सबमिट करके आना है ना फ्रंट डेस्क पे, बताया नहीं किसी ने मुझे। किसके किसके पास फोन है? सबके पास फोन है। साइलेंट पे रखो ऑल ऑफ यू, या तो फ्रंट डेस्क में सबमिट करके आना है। Okay, continue. During the day, chloroplast in the guard cells synthesize or produce glucose by the process of photosynthesis. Full stop. Second point, glucose gets dissolved in the cell sap. Glucose gets dissolved in the cell sap and guard cells become hypertonic. As compared to the surrounding epidermal cells. Full stop. This leads to THIS. This leads to absorption of water by the guard cells. By endoosmosis. Third point. Continuous endosmosis makes the guard cells tight filled with water. Within bracket you write turgid. इसको turgid state बोलते हैं. Within bracket you write. Continuous absorption of water makes the guard cells tight filled with water. Within bracket.
Continuous endosmosis.
Makes the guard cells tight filled with water. Within bracket. Turgid state.
Ma'am, but in daytime, the stomata is used for absorbing the CO2. Then we say that at night the trees respire. At that time, how the oxygen enters and the CO2 is released?
At night, what is happening? See, during the daytime, the carbon dioxide is taken in and more of oxygen is released because rate of photosynthesis is a prime process in the plants at that time. अब रात को क्या हो रहा है? The rate of photosynthesis is dropping down, but plants में भी respiration हो रहा है. Now, since the plants also undergo the process of respiration, so थोड़ा सा oxygen as it is plants keep for themselves. Glucose को break down करने के लिए a process known as respiration. So at the end, what are they releasing? At the end, they are releasing carbon dioxide. So ये दिन में भी हो रहा है. But दिन में क्या problem है? दिन में we would say that under the tree, if you are sitting, not a harm because during the day photosynthesis rate is higher than respiration. तो ऑक्सीजन रिलीज ज्यादा हो रहा है. दिन के टाइम पे भी कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज हो रहा है, but that is at a negligible amount. रात में फोटोसिंथेसिस प्रोसेस इज एट अ मच लोअर रेट, तो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कंजम्पशन कम हो रहा है एंड रिलीज ज्यादा हो रहा है बिकॉज रेस्पिरेशन रेट ज्यादा हो जाता है एट नाइट. So at night under the sea, under the tree, if you are sitting for a long time, हमें suffocation हो सकती है.
Ma'am, I was not telling that. If means you told that at nights or at the evening time the stomata closes, then how does CO2 goes out and the oxygen goes in?
Stomata closes मतलब the stomata is not membrane to membrane कभी fuse तो नहीं होता है. The space between them only reduces. Closing का मतलब ऐसे how I have drawn the diagram. So closing का मतलब है it may be little bit wider also. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा ही है. So I would say if it is almost, for an example, अगर daytime में almost अगर 4 millimeter 4 centimeter अगर wide है, so when I am talking about closure, is it 0.1 am I thinking of? नहीं, वो 4 से 2 होगा. ऐसा है, 50% ही less होता है generally. तो उसमें एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज हो रहा है, क्योंकि नाइट में वो जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्लांट्स ले रहा था दिन के टाइम पे वो तो नहीं ले रहा है. सो दैट इज द प्रोसेस. वेयर डिड आई स्टॉप? turgid state makes the guard cell try to get comma and the space between guard cells widen. Space between guard cells widen. Space between guard cells wide हो जाता है, widen, a condition known as open stomata. A condition known as open stomata. आया समझ में what you have written? So now the next part you will be able to understand to write on your own. Check. I will just give you the hints. You should be able to write now. Next head लिखो closed stomata. Next head closed stomata. तो नेक्स्ट हेड में क्या लिखेंगे? एट नाइट. एट नाइट मतलब नॉट ओनली नाइट, इट्स इवनिंग आल्सो, नाउ आल्सो. एट नाइट, बट जनरली नाइट लिखा जाता है. एट नाइट the rate of photosynthesis gradually slows down. Rate of photosynthesis gradually slows down. As a result, guard cells become hypotonic. As a result, guard cells become hypotonic. HYPO, hypotonic, as compared to the surrounding, as compared to the surrounding epidermal cells, as compared to the surrounding epidermal cells. Full stop. Full stop. Next point. The guard cells lose water. Guard cells lose water by exoosmosis. Guard cells lose water by exoosmosis and become shrunken. And become shrunken. And become shrunken. Last point. The space between the guard cells become narrow. Space between the guard cells become narrow. A condition known as closed stomata. A condition known as closed stomata.
मैम वो सुबह के टाइम पे, ठंडी के टाइम पे ओस जो रहती है वो भी स्टोमेटा से रिलीज होती है ना?
There are specialized pores on the margins of the leaves, उसको हाइड्रोथोन्स बोला जाता है. उससे वाटर ड्रॉपलेट्स निकलती है। स्टोमाटा से कभी ड्रॉपलेट नहीं निकलते, उससे हमेशा वेपर ही निकल सकता है। कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, ऑक्सीजन या तो वाटर वेपर। और लीफ के जो मार्जिन्स होता है उसमें स्पेशल पोर्स रहता है, उससे ड्रॉपलेट्स निकलता है।
तो मैम वो लीफ के मिडल पार्ट में किस रहता है, वहां से तो डायरेक्ट
एट द एंड्स ऑफ द वेन्स में भी होता है, एट द टिप ऑफ द लीफ में भी होगा, एट द मार्जिन्स ऑफ द लीफ में भी होगा। अंडरस्टूड? बट ऑन द पूरा बॉडी ऑफ द लीफ में कभी भी नहीं होता है, बिकॉज ऑन द एंटायर सरफेस ऑफ द लीफ स्टोमाटा है। Stomata never releases water in the form of droplets, हमेशा in the form of vapor या तो gases, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, ऑक्सीजन बोला। हाइड्रोथोड्स, उसको हाइड्रोथोड्स बोलते हैं, उसको हाइड्रोथोड्स बोलते हैं। These are called हाइड्रोथोड्स। हाइड्रोथोड्स on the margins of the leaf रहता है। Now the next topic that we'll have to start, all of you please refer to this figure in your textbook. Those of you who don't have the textbook, refer to this figure. You get this for your exams also, figure 5.2. What are you going to study? This is known as the iodine test. What is this? Iodine test. हाँ? हो गया? ये हो गया? अच्छा. So iodine test समझ में आया? So iodine test was a concept of de-starching. What were the steps? 4 steps याद रखना है. What are those 4 steps? First क्या करेंगे? नहीं, de-starching. First step है de-starching. De-starching क्यों करते हैं? So that whatever amount of starch is stored in the plant that has to be used up. De-starching कब तक करते हैं? 2 to 3 days. After that, take out the leaf and keep under the sunlight for how much? How long? 6 to 8 hours minimum. उसके बाद क्या करना है? Take one leaf and go for the iodine test. So what are the 4 steps क्या था? First step में क्या करेंगे? Boil in water to kill the cells. Second, boil in alcohol to remove chlorophyll. Third, rinse in water to wash away all the chemical, नहीं, chlorophyll, क्योंकि हमने boil किया chlorophyll में, so rinse in water. Third step, rinse in water to remove all the chlorophyll. Fourth step क्या करेंगे? Put iodine drops. Iodine का color मैंने क्या बताया था? It is always yellowish. नहीं, iodine का color क्या है? Orange या yellow रहता है. But the moment after this test, when you put these iodine drops on the surface of the leaf, when we put the iodine drops on the surface of the leaf, in certain regions we come across that there are some blue-black patches formed. So what does these blue-black patches indicate? Presence of starch. And what about these brown patches? This indicates presence of no starch here. So what are we understanding? This particular test gives us an idea how much of the starch is stored in the plant cells. Because we had waited for 6-8 hours, allow the plant to undergo new fresh photosynthesis, new formation of glucose. And why are we talking about starch here now? Why not glucose?
Because glucose is the.
Why can't we test glucose? You get this question also. Iodine test. Why is it not used for testing glucose? Why are we testing starch? Because starch is stored, glucose is never stored. Glucose is there only for a very short period of time. Immediately it gets converted into starch, gets stored in the form of starch. So yes, ये था the concept of photosynthesis. The next that we'll have to start is, the next part of the chapter would be nutrition. We go to heterotrophic nutrition. Now, autotrophic nutrition we are already done.
It's saved in the fruits and flowers of the plant.
No, starch is mainly fruits may. If I would say that starch is mainly stored in the stem, also starch is mainly stored in the underground parts of the plant. Root may, stem may, potato, carrot, radish, all these. So we are talking about now. Next, let us look at your volume. You have your volume, all of you. Very fast. Let me give you just 2 questions to solve if you are able to solve this. All of you look into that page. Review question, we'll go to that. From time to time, we'll have to go through this set of questions. Look into page 167. Look into page 167, question number 6. Look into page 167, question number 6, all of you. 170 question number 2. 170 question number 2. Okay, and we do these two questions, see whether you are able to understand. Read those two questions.
First two.
Page, कौन सा था page? 167 question number 6. करो. 167 question number 6 है book. That's why I told you volume हर दिन लाना है. Every time this previous questions. I will explain certain amount, certain topics and certain amount of questions I will always ask you to solve. अभी कैसे करोगे? Ask one book from them. Share. Read fast. What is the answer? Tell me. क्या है answer? Did you understand? No? You did not get the books. What is your name? You did not get the books yet. Dekho. What are the questions? The first one says, which one of the following condition is true for the state of stomata of a green leaf? The first one, large amount of water flows into the ground cells, gaseous exchanges occurring in large amount. Here you are only to write on the function of the stomata. Large amount of water flows out from the guard cells, large amount of sugar collects in the guard cells. Which could be the appropriate function? Large amount of water flows out from the guard cell. Why? What type of a condition of the stomata is shown there? Open stomata or closed stomata hai. So you have to give reason. If this type of a question is just for 1 mark, sometimes justify with a reason. What will you write? Because it is a closed stomata, the guard cells are hypotonic and they are releasing water to the surrounding epidermal cells. ये जो मैंने points लिखे हैं, based on this you can answer so many other questions. Done? All of you got this? Understood? Chalo, go to the next question. Number 2 again, page 117. Number 2, page 170. A stomata closes when? A stomata closes when? It needs carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, does not need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Water flows out of the guard cells, water flows in the guard cells. Answer?
B.
It needs carbon dioxide for stomata closes when? It does not need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Water flows out of the guard cells. Second and third. Got the options there? Understood? Okay, some other questions I will ask you to solve later in your notebooks also. And all of you make it a point, you have to get the notebook and you have to get your volume from time to time. We move on to the next part of the chapter, that is heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition, what are we going to study? We had already come across what? 3 main types of heterotrophic nutrition, right? Holozoic, parasitic, saprophytic. Now, a basic concept of holozoic nutrition we are going to talk about. The nutrition in amoeba. Now, nutrition in amoeba, just a couple of words to learn, nothing else. We talk about nutrition in amoeba. This is a very, very simple, small topic there. Nutrition in amoeba. Now, here, in case of nutrition in amoeba, what is the process known as? The process is known as phagocytosis. Look into this process. The sequence of steps you have to draw and show me as homework. I will not allow you to draw here in the class. Huh? Copy diagram. You are a diagram man. In pencil. Nice. Pencils and neat, nice. That this question you will get for 2 marks. Diagram drawing 2 marks. So easy to pick that 2 marks. एक सिंपल सा डायग्राम ड्रॉ करना है, पेंसिल से ड्रॉ करना है, नो इंक टू बी यूज्ड. फॉलो द रूल्स. यू डोंट फॉलो द रूल अनलेस उसमें हाफ मार्क जाएगा, 1 मार्क जाएगा. क्यों? You have to draw with pencil, neat, nice diagram, दो चार labeling ही देना है और कुछ नहीं है. Now what is the process? Let us try understanding. Phagocytosis. What is this process? This single-celled organism, whenever it takes in particles of food, it will always stretch its membrane, resulting in the formation of a cup-shaped structure. And ये जो membrane stretch करने का जो capacity है, this is what is known as the false growth, pseudopodia. What is pseudopodia? The ability of the single-celled organism to stretch its membrane and grab the food. So in that process, it can make a cup-shaped structure. The entire membrane stretch होके एक cup-shaped structure बन सकता है, and then resulting in the formation of a cup-shaped structure, grab the food, take it in. Once it has already taken it in, at this particular stage, if I am talking about that at this particular stage, when the food is already in, what is this known as? This is known as the food vacuole. This, when you draw diagrams, you have to label it. This is known as food vacuole. But now this food has to be digested. Up next क्या है? This membranes will come in contact, and then the food vacuole is all inside. The food vacuole is all inside with the particles, whatever it has taken in. But there is one cell organelle in the animal cells which can bring about intracellular digestion. कौन सा organelle है? एक cell organelle है which releases enzymes so that the process of digestion can happen inside the cell. हाँ, क्या नाम है उसका? Golgi, जो produce करता है एक particular type of a vesicle containing digestive enzymes. क्या है?
Second name is
Lysosome. So अब क्या होगा? This lysosome will come in contact. Now next is, how does the food get digested? This amoeba will have the lysosomes. The lysosome will come in contact. Then next is what? The lysosomal enzymes will bring in the process of digestion. And after the process of digestion, the food and the lysosomal enzymes, they are all in contact. How did the digestion happen? Intracellular, holozoic. Yes or no? This is holozoic. Did we give the example of amoeba when we had studied holozoic nutrition? Yes. The process of digestion is happening because all these hydrolytic enzymes come in contact with the food. After that, what? After that, this single-celled organism again will result in the formation of the vacuole. But अभी क्या है उसमें? Waste substances. And what about the dissolved food, digested nutrients, all distributed in the cytoplasm? इस process को क्या बोलेंगे? This particular process is known as assimilation. और इस process को क्या बोलेंगे? This process is known as digestion. अब ये जो vacuole बना है, this particular vacuole is actually containing what? Waste substances. This particular vacuole contains waste substances. What is the name of this vacuole? इसको अगर हमने food vacuole बोला था, where the process of digestion was initiating, इसको बोलेंगे contractile vacuole. This is known as contractile vacuole. What does the contractile vacuole contain? Waste substances. Later, what will be the process? The process will be that this contractile vacuole also will come in contact with the membranes and throw out all the waste substances. This process is known as exocytosis, and this process is known as endocytosis, the other process that I showed you. So, meaning the previous stage, if I am talking about a process something like this, where the food is taken in, this is endocytosis. Exocytosis, together we talk about this as phagocytosis. What is the process? Name the process by which the amoeba performs its digestion, nutrition, phagocytosis to write. Because the two major events or two major stages of phagocytosis is endocytosis, lena, after the process of digestion all over, waste substances throw karna by the process of exocytosis. Very simple. We now go to the next part. Next part है the major part of the chapter, the topic, nutrition. We are going to talk about nutrition in human, digestive system in human, and quite a number of topics. Now that I talk about the digestive system in human, I start with this. Digestive system in human, just be very clear about the figure first of all. The digestive system in human consists of a continuous tube-like structure. I'm talking about this continuous tube-like structure. What is this tube-like structure? Known as alimentary canal. ये जो alimentary canal है, it is here where the process of digestion happens. It is here where the food is there, passing right from the mouth to the food pipe and then the stomach and then the entire intestinal region. It is here where the food is present, the food is moving and the digestion is happening. But इसके आसपास भी काफी सारे organs है, which is not allowing the process of digestion happen directly. The food is never entering, but they definitely produce a variety of chemical substances which helps in the process of digestion. So, अगर ये alimentary canal है, then what are these parts known as digestive glands? Digestive glands. So we start with this. I am talking about the digestive system. Digestive system in human we are to talk about. So what about the parts of the digestive system? In case of the digestive system, here we are saying that the human digestive system has got two parts. What are the two parts to remember? One is alimentary canal. We are talking about a continuous tube-like structure through which the food would pass, where the process of digestion would happen. Alimentary canal. Then what is the other set of organs I named as? These are known as digestive glands. These are digestive glands. Now we have to know the names of each of these. Alimentary canal hai, so which are the parts? Alimentary canal agar hai, then which are the parts we are talking about? Alimentary canal mein parts would be the mouth, also known as the buccal cavity, oral cavity जिसे कहते हैं. Next is we talk about the food pipe, also known as the esophagus. Third is a major part known as the stomach. Fourth is the small intestine, where exactly the process of digestion takes place. And fifth is the large intestine. The large intestine. Put your phone silent, no?
Switch off किया था.
कैसे फोन है तुम्हारा switch off के बाद भी इतना आवाज करता है? Now, all of you, phone should be silent, huh? No vibration, also nothing. Absolutely silent now. When we are talking about the parts of the alimentary canal, what are the parts of the alimentary canal? These are the 5 major to remember. Where? Mouth, esophagus.
Does the nasal cavity also come under?
नहीं, वो respiratory system का बात है. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and the large intestine. आया समझ में? Labeling clear है? This diagram for drawing also, for labeling also. I talk about the digestive glands. And which are the digestive glands? The first part, digestive gland, the largest gland of the body, the liver. And then we have got the pancreas. And apart from that, in the mouth, the salivary glands. So when I talk about the digestive glands and the alimentary canal, then what is the major difference you are understanding? If it is the alimentary canal, food passes in the tube. Food is present in the tube, digestion is happening in the tube. Does the food ever enter into the pancreas? Does the food ever enter into the liver? No. The part of the digestive system where the food would never enter, but still very much essential for the process of digestion because it releases juices, enzymes. That's the reason. These are very much part of the digestive system, but food will not enter through these organs. Clear, right? What is the basic difference between alimentary canal and digestive glands? Take one question. Right on the head now. This is a major topic that we are studying. It is quite elaborate. Right now, digestive system. Just write as a point. You get questions, so you can answer as it is, as for the question. Alimentary canal is a continuous tube-like structure. Alimentary canal is a continuous tube-like structure. Through which the food passes. Through which the food passes. and the process of through which the food passes and the process of digestion takes place. Full stop. Passes and the process of digestion takes place. Through which the food passes and the process of digestion takes place. Next paragraph. Digestive glands are very essential because they release variety of digestive juices. Which help in the process of digestion, but food does not pass through them. The process of digestion, but food does not pass through them. Now let us talk about the parts one after the other. I start with the mouth. Mouth, also known as the oral cavity. We are talking about the parts of the alimentary canal. One after the other. I start with the first part of the alimentary canal, that is the mouth. What are some features, structures about the mouth we are supposed to know? Mouth, the first part of the alimentary canal through which the food would enter. So now, if I have to talk about the mouth, what are some special structures present in the mouth? The two special structures present in the mouth are the teeth and the tongue. Two special structures present in the mouth. What are those? Teeth and the tongue. Now, when I talk about the teeth, what are these teeth made up of? Deposits of minerals, calcium and phosphorus. So now that I talk about the teeth, these are deposits of calcium and phosphorus. What is their function? What are their types? Are you aware how many types of teeth we have?
Yes.
4 types. क्या नाम है?
Molars, premolars, canines, and
incisors. So what are the 4 types of teeth that we have? And 4 types of functions, or at least 3 types of functions. Definitely, we can say. So what are the 4 types of teeth that we have? We have got incisors, we have got canines, we have got premolars, and we have got molars. So now, talking about the 4 types of teeth and their respective functions. So if I have to mention what is the function of the incisors, what is the incisor doing? Something like cutting, biting. These are the functions of the teeth. Take a bite of an apple, the incisors. Then what about the function of the canines? Stretching of the food. Any type of food that needs little bit of stretching and tearing of the food. Canines, basically sharp pointed, no canines. Then what would be the function of the premolars and the molars then? Crushing, grinding. So when we are talking about grinders, that's why these are also known as grinders, grinding. So when we are talking about the premolars and the molars, the basic function. So first of all, I'm talking about teeth. What are their types? 4 types of teeth and their respective functions. Something more about the teeth that we have to talk about here is that the basic structures of the teeth that we have in case of human, after I mention the types and their respective function, what else we have to understand? One major feature is that all throughout our life, how many sets of teeth do we have? 2 sets of teeth. All throughout our life, we have got two sets of teeth. One known as the milk dentition, which is almost getting replaced, starts getting replaced by the time we are almost about 6, 7 years, 8 years, and then the permanent dentition already settled by 10, 12 years. So now, when we are talking about another specific feature of the teeth here, we'll have to remember how many two sets of dentition all throughout our life. We have got two sets of dentition all throughout our life. One is the milk dentition or the infant dentition, and the other is the permanent dentition. Now next is talking about the tongue. Can you tell me what is the tongue made up of? It is muscular. This is a muscular structure. What can be the functions of the tongue? Tell me two functions of the tongue related to digestion, digestive system. Can you tell me two functions of the tongue related to digestion or digestive system? Tongue does not produce saliva. Anything? Perception of taste. Correct. So when we are talking about the function of the tongue, tongue has got sensory cells. The upper surface of the tongue has got sensory cells which can sense the bitter and the sour and the sweet, etc. So perception of taste. Anything else? Speaking to digestive function नहीं है, तो ये नहीं लिखेंगे एग्जाम में. Swallowing of the food. So since the tongue is muscular, it can undergo the process of contraction, relaxation. The contraction, relaxation of the tongue is based on our wish or not based on our wish? On our wish. अगर on our wish है, तो what is that one word we can use? Muscles that we can contract on our own, उसको क्या बोलेंगे? Voluntary. So now, what are some words? I talk about the tongue is muscular. It is made up of muscles. It's a voluntary structure. The process of contraction absolutely based on our wish. And since it is voluntary, it also helps in the process of swallowing of the food. It helps in the swallowing of the food. Now that I'm talking about two primary functions of the tongue, what are the two primary functions of the tongue? The two primary functions of the tongue are perception of taste, swallowing of the food. What is the next part? The next part of the alimentary canal. The next part of the alimentary canal, I understand, esophagus. Now to talk about the esophagus, esophagus is a long, narrow, just in the previous image I told you, esophagus is a long, narrow, tube-like structure. But what is it again made up of? Muscle. It is also made up of muscles, but I would write it is made up of smooth muscles. So, अगर smooth muscles है, so are we able to contract the food pipe on our own? No. नहीं. So, they are involuntary in nature. The features, characteristics of the food pipe, features of the esophagus, made up of smooth muscles, absolutely involuntary.
Molars and molars
both are grinders and crushing and grinding function है. So when the numbers you don't need actually, two numbers इसलिए I have not discussed. Now then I talk about the esophagus. Esophagus के functions क्या है? Characteristics क्या है? So I talk about esophagus is made up of smooth muscles, so definitely it is involuntary in nature. Contraction, relaxation, not under our wish. Function क्या है? What is the function of the esophagus? Passage of food. Passage of food कहाँ से कहाँ तक? From the mouth till the stomach. इतना ही. Can the process of, now that the food is passing through the esophagus, now think, if I am talking about that the food is passing through the esophagus, that the food is passing through the esophagus in the form of a ball of food or a mass of food, what happens? The entire esophagus is becoming swollen and contracting, swollen and contracting, swollen. As if the food is running down, no? Because this esophagus and the rest of the entire alimentary canal. Now, what is common in all these parts? Ye esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, all are made up of smooth muscles. So since all are made up of smooth muscles, so what is that one property? Right from now I can think of the alimentary canal undergoes a process, a property known as peristalsis. It is a process. The entire alimentary canal shows this process. Peristalsis. What is the meaning? Peristalsis matlab if I have to think about the stomach and the esophagus, yes, the food is running down. How will the food run down? Continuously the alimentary canal or the esophagus right now will be swollen and then contracting, swollen and then contracting, swollen and then contracting, and that's how the food rushes down. So ये जो हाँ एक wave की तरह. So this are we able to do on our own? No. As per the need of the body, ये हो रहा है. This involuntary contraction, relaxation of the esophagus ही नहीं खाली, the entire alimentary canal, that is what is known as peristalsis. This is a very important word. You have to write down the definition. Nico, define peristalsis. Define peristalsis. Peristalsis is the wave of rhythmic मतलब एक continuous flow में rhythmic. Peristalsis is a wave of continuous or a rhythmic. Peristalsis is a wave of rhythmic contraction and relaxation. Contraction and relaxation, rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the walls, contraction and relaxation of the walls of alimentary canal. The contraction and relaxation of the walls of alimentary canal is known as peristalsis. Peristalsis is a wave of rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the walls, WALLS, walls of alimentary canal. Because I just now mentioned, peristalsis सिर्फ यहाँ पे नहीं होता है. It happens in the stomach also. It happens in the small intestine also. It happens in the large intestine also. पूरा alimentary canal में, except for the mouth, entire alimentary canal में rhythmic contraction relaxation होती है. What is this rhythmic contraction relaxation known as? Peristalsis. आया समझ में? हाँ. कौन सा? ALIMENTARY. ALIMEN for escape stress. ALI नहीं होना. ALIMEN connected नहीं है. ALIMEN Okay, read till this part of the chapter. जो भी doubts, confusion है, clarify करते रहना. Don't wait for any doubt solving session. या exam जब आएगी, then only open your book. 10th standard में ऐसा नहीं करो. Physics, chemistry, biology जो भी हो रहा है, keep reading. थोड़ा करके पढ़ते रहो.